This will be an informal introduction to simplified symbolism. Just show the basics of what this channel's about. In studying symbols for all this time, it's been best to find my own way to make a symbol. So here I've constructed things out of very common symbols for anybody of the English-speaking world, which anybody involved with computers essentially knows English to some extent through the ASCII code language. But here we have our English alphabet broken up into two parts. Call them twin towers, twin mountains, twin peaks. It's very commonly known throughout our language to have all sorts of twin elements, like the sun and the moon. These things can combine to form all sorts of other things that, with given meanings of different cultures and geographies and developments and time periods, have alluded to all sorts of different meanings and given apertures to these symbols. And there's all sorts of morphologies and syntax and phonetics that have evolved and devolved throughout these times and have been completely wiped out in others, depending on where you are. One of the main groups of today is the Masons. That's why I like this symbol in particular. You can see their name spelled out on the dollar bill, which I have ready to pull up, or I did. No, I don't. Oh, there it is. It's right at the beginning. So in this symbol, now this isn't a standard dollar. This is someone's work where they wrote all over it and gave some stuff, some historical references here. But my main point to point out here is that within the Annuit Corpus de Mortem Latin language here, you have your Mason. That actually is the M here, A at the beginning of Annuit, end of Coptus is the S. You have the O and the beginning and the middle of Ordo, and Novus for your final N there. And of course you could spell out a whole bunch of other stuff and different star patterns and different things going on. But these things are embedded all over the place in symbols and signs throughout the world around you. So in this graph, I kind of made my own little Monas Hieroglyphica, which is founded by John Dee. John Dee supposedly has relations and ties to 007, James Bond, which was one of my favorites growing up as a kid. Your high action secret agent. But the 007 supposedly was a symbol in which John Dee signed all his letters to the Queen, which was 2 O's and then what looked like a 7 after it, which meant for the Queen's eyes only. Now, that meaning at the time was probably only understood by the Queen and John Dee and maybe a handful of people in between, and who knows if these people were even real or not. It's 500 years ago. You can try and claim they're real and historical records and etc. Beyond your actual lived experience here, it's going to be very hard to do that. But in any case, I always found the story of John Dee interesting, and this Monas Hieroglyphica goes back to more or less the beginning of our somewhat known time period of the last couple hundred years. in at least the given historical record that we have. But anyways, so John D. So, was he a Mason? Was he not? I don't know. But in any case, this symbol arises when you put the English language into septenary cipher. Now, septenary is the 7-code cipher. There's also tenary, which is 10, and a few others here. In the Monas Hieroglyphica breakdown, which this is what was presented in Symbolism Stream 2, which will be also uploaded in the near future after this introductory part. But again, you can see here's our D, John D, a 4th letter. This was his monad, his union of opposites. This is the symbol he used to explain all alchemical signs, the 12 zodiacs down here in the bottom right. The Roman numerals are divided into 7 total letters or symbols. The light code LVX, which actually Kayang Zedong just posted stuff about this and occult practices in the Discord, and the Hubanosis, which is a combination of the X, which is denary, Pythagorean tetrax, which is tenary times septenary, which is the 3rd times the 7th is the 21st letter, which is X in Greek. Or T, or sorry, not T. That'd be U in the English, and just before Tau in the Hebrews language. But it doesn't matter which one you use. They all actually stack on top of each other at some point, just like numbers, letters, syntax. All of these symbols stack to some extent. In my opinion, in my viewpoint, and what I've experienced and looked at here. And I sum it up into my symbol, which isn't necessarily mine. This is just a copy and paste of many other symbols all into one. So this is broken into 9 sections with a 0 at each side, just like your musical scale starts and ends with Do. Combine the 0 and the 0 form the 8, which would be 1 through 7, and then 8. The 6 is the 9 upside down. So 9 is more illusionary, intangible, just like the mind or the spirit or anything in the etherical world, which is what the point of this Monas Hieroglyphica was by John D. It's an exposition of the meaning of an esoteric symbol that he invented. It presents a complex emblem constructed from various astrological symbols with elements of Latin wordplay, capitalization, spacing, and diacritics, rendering its interpretation challenging. The symbol is intended to embody a profound concept representing the unity of all creation influenced by celestial forces. And it goes on. You can read all through this at your own pace, time. So my symbol basically does this in the same way. It's using the exact same symbols reconfigured in a different construction, breaking our English modern day alphabet into septenary. And I think it does some interesting things when you think about our modern day companies, for instance, like Amazon. You can find all of their lettering right here on this first layer, other than the vowel O, which will be on the second. But as the Hebrews do, they blot out their vowels. So Amazon without your vowels, O, is made up of A, M, N, and Z. to which N and Z are the same symbol. A actually makes up both M and N, as N is made up of two inverted A's put together, as well as M being two A's touching at the tips. Another interesting facet of this symbol is you have the vowels themselves are 3 and 3, as in you have A, E, I, 3 in this half, this circle, this pyramid. And then you have O, U, and Y in this half, or this pyramid. So each peak has your 33. And when you combine 33 together, it'll give you your 88 symbol, which gives you a whole bunch of other information. Also sums up to 6 in the first place, which again, the Bible is 66 books. You have both of these are 26 letters total, 2 sixes, 6 and 6. And it's also the pyramid structure here makes a 7, or in a 7, which is 77, whole thing 88. It's like your time portal code 8 and 8, because that's where the beginning and the end, your start and finish are, which also goes along with your story structure or structure of any timeline or anything else, has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and then it restarts, to which A, M, N, and Z are all formed out of vector angles. They're all the same, just like 0 and 0. They are radial angular objects. They don't have ends and points and cruxes. So, this could go on for a very, very long time, but I just want to get into the introduction of things here. So these can go on for a while, but I'll be going along and making more videos here and going through these symbolic presentations of expression. But I'd like to end it with this symbol right here, because this will probably be the key to which I use to break down most things. So yeah, thanks for listening. Hope it helps. Any feedback, please leave it in the comments. Other than that, thanks for listening.